the business that we are in.
That's
Oh my
it.
God.
Yes. With
Well,
men, the male dominated.
come on,
You got some
Truth.
tea?
Look, come on,
You
Truth.
gotta sip on that one.
Listen, you know what's so funny? First of all, Monica, it's so funny that I am actually talking to you because you and I are more social media friends first, because that's how I met you. Come to find out, we're sorority sisters. Then on top of that, I was like, yo, this chick understands what I go through on a daily basis.
Every day. Oh my
Every
goodness.
single day. You know what? So first of all, let me say one of the reasons why, and I try to tell everybody that I sit down with the why of this, right? Like we already know it's International Women's Month. We get that, and it's all about celebrating women's contribution to history, to life, to all things wonderful. Um, but
Right.
I had this deep urge to just kind of bring it down a little bit on a level where it's more personal. And I wanted to take the
Right.
opportunity to give flowers to say what I appreciate about you as a woman, whether I know you personally or social media adjacent or even work adjacent, right? Because I feel like, when we're talking about all of the greats, sometimes we forget that giants walk among us,
That's true.
and I don't think
Uh,
that we give each other enough credit. And I know I'm not even gonna put you on the spot, but I feel like, especially, I'm not gonna say just our industry because I understand that it is bigger than radio and TV, it's just entertainment in general. But I really feel like it's hard for us as women. I mean, you executive producing Steve Harvey, I can already tell you, right? Because I
oh,
know what that comes with.
girl,
But and then me, alongside another king of comedy. And I think a lot of people don't understand the weight of that. Do you ever feel the weight of that at times?
I definitely feel the weight of it, especially when you move around with him and you're in his presence and everyone's they're always at him. He's always on. Like he doesn't get a chance to just chill and not be on. And I couldn't imagine that lifestyle. I want to earn my coin and like be behind the scenes. I love being behind the scenes. Like you're out in the forefront a lot more. You're actually on air, you're on the mic with the king, but I'm behind the king. So I'm like pushing the king and like, hey king, we gotta do this. And I'm getting hit in the face, but I'm not doing that. I'm tired of, doing this and that. I'm tired of being Steve. I'm like, but King, just one more thing. King, come on, please, King, do this, read this. And then he's like, leave me alone. So I'm just like hit in the face with it constantly. Even on the weekends when I'm texting him, he's like, don't you have something to go do? Like, why are you bothering me? So it's never
Listen,
ending.
it's
It's
never
never
ending.
ending.
And even though I am beside a king of comedy and you're saying you're behind, it's the same responsibility, right? Because they feel
Absolutely.
like I am the DL wrangler. If they need something, call Jasmine. Jasmine can get him to do this read because you already know what I see every day. They hate doing live reads. They like the money. They hate doing
They
promo
like the
reads.
money.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
want to do promo
Uh-huh.
reads. They don't want to do anything because they're kings. And it's really difficult, as a talent sitting next to one. It's like, just like you said, they take up a lot of space in the room. And I tell people all
Hmm.
the time, and I'm sure you get it, for a co-host who feels, just as talented, it's not just sitting and assisting. It is knowing when to turn up and when to turn down, understanding what the position
Exactly.
calls for, right?
And it's know your place without them saying know your place. But you, as a woman following a king, you absolutely have to know your. And I have one king and then five others. So, or four others now. Let's see, Carla, Shirley, Tommy, and just four others. So they're actually double dutching all day long.
All
When
day
we're doing the
long.
show, they're double dutching. Like, can I get in there? Can I get in there? King's like, get out of here. Can I get in there? Can I say? Get out of here. And you better not go out on that last joke. King better go out on that last joke. So it's
Oh
like,
my gosh.
oh my
Now it's
God.
funny, I know I
Yeah.
learned all of this through trial and error because I come from a radio background. I know what it's like to hold my own show. And I had to learn how to adjust and understanding. The king get the big piece of chicken. He gets the last piece of
That's
chicken. So
right.
we got to go out on his joke, not mine. I don't care if you think it's funny. It's his show. And so it's interesting
Right.
me learning that just from years of doing it. And then I found out and didn't know this about you that you didn't even come from a radio background. I didn't even know that.
I did not.
How
I
in the
did not.
world?
I have a BS girl.
Let me tell you something. What's
Out
funny is
here.
for you to have a BS in psychology and all this other stuff and come from that, it's perfect for you. This is perfect.
Oh, because I work with mental patients that don't know they have a they need to be diagnosed. That's basically it. So I got my little master's in counseling, Jasmine, and I'm sitting there because when I started working for them, they didn't have anything for me to do. Gotten laid off from rehab work. So I found them, they found me, and they said, "Hey, come work, but we don't have anything for you to do. Just sit at the front desk." I'm sitting there with a master's degree at the front desk, and I'm like, "That's okay. I feel good about this. I'm gonna pray about it." So I prayed about it, and after I was hazed, great sorrow, I was hazed for still being hazed 15 years later.
Yes, yes.
It's the best job I've ever had, the longest job I've ever had. So I'm like, what is wrong with me to put myself in the line of fire daily? But like, you
Every
just have
day.
to do it. It's fun, and to wrangle 5 people every day, it's like, but radio to me is it's just so special, and you reach so many people and you see your affiliates and you want to make it all come together for them, and the crew loves our affiliates, like they love what they do, so it's easy, it's more like a family, I call it, but we're
Yeah.
dysfunctional, and
Oh, talking about the dysfunction.
it's a family. Yeah, every family
It's
is dysfunctional.
it's true. It's
Just roll with
100%
the
true.
punches.
Right. You know
Yeah.
what's funny too though is I feel like, and I've always said this to anybody who will listen. I think everything that we go through prepares us for something that we are about to go through. And we may not always
Hmm.
understand it in the moment, but as your grandmama would say, and I know you know this because you're from Mississippi, you'll understand it better by
Yes.
and by, right? So what do you think just as a woman, as someone who came into this particular industry already really more than well educated in the field and knowing who you were, what do you think is the greatest lesson prior to this that you've been able to pull from?
The greatest lesson is the sisterhood, the just the pledging, like learning. That teaches so much. It builds so much character when you have to be accountable for everyone on your line. So the sisterhood that I got from that, just knowing that what I do impacts others, that's like one of the greatest lessons. Just going to college, even being around different cultures. I went to predominantly black middle school and high school. We called it junior high, and then I
We
went
did
to
too,
a
girl.
PWI first. Right. So I had to be immersed in the PWI. My parents tried to get me to go to Hampton or Jackson State, which was right in my city, but I needed PWI immersion. I needed to be around different cultures just to, learn how other people think and do things. And it was like a culture shock for me. So that gave me a lot of basis for working with, the public. And then just the education, like you said, the background, knowing how people can be moody, their coping skills may be gone, and how to just work around a lot of things and deal with a lot of different personalities, which I deal with every day. And like I said, it's difficult, but it's fun at the same time. It's like the weirdest good mix of fun and dysfunction that you can imagine.
I
But
when people ask
definitely
me about it,
background, like,
yeah, I was gonna say when people ask me what it's like, I always, and I know you're gonna get this analogy when I tell you. I tell people all the time because they say, "What is it like working with DL?" And my thing is, it's literally like a roller coaster at an amusement park, right? You're terrified as you're in line, but you're in line, right? You don't want to lose your
yeah,
place either. You'll fight somebody over your place in line. You'll wait for
that's
hours to
right.
ride this ride. You will scream like hell because you don't know what to expect, the ups, the downs, and you're terrified and all you want to do is get off. But then as soon as you get off,
Hmm.
you get right back in line.
You get right back on. And then when you coasting, you're like, oh, we coasting now. It's fun, but it's gonna go. You gotta go up, and then you're gonna crash back down. It's never just smooth sailing.
Never.
Yeah.
Never,
And
never,
then
never, never.
thinking of that, it's like my friends like, why do you put out with that and da, da, da? And I was traveling so much at one point. You all gotta travel. And I said, the minute I get off this ride, it's 1,800 other people waiting to get on this ride. They call me stupid for doing it. And why you doing that? And don't let him talk to you like that. Girl, you will be right here tomorrow.
Right there
Getting talked
tomorrow.
crazy
It is funny, but you know what?
tomorrow.
Tell me about how you handle that, right? Because I'm not going to get into the politics of everything, even though we having our sister girl conversation. We know the
Right, right, right.
unspoken spoken, if you know what I mean, right? Because
Right.
I get that all
Mm-hmm.
the time too. Why do you just sit there and everything he says isn't funny? And how could you let him talk to you like that? I'm like, well, first of all, I am comfortable with who I am. And if you know me, you know I don't take no shit from
Absolutely.
nobody. That's number one, but I know my position. And I wonder often, about this sisterhood that we have. Do you ever feel that um it could be stronger? Is it lacking in some areas? Is it where it needs to be? Like, I think for me, sometimes I feel like I'm on an island all by myself because I'm sure you can attest to that sometimes it can be isolating in what we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we do need to get together. We need a conference where we move around the United States and talk to other women in our situation. Like just sit down and have like little tea parties and open up and talk to each other because it is isolated. As a producer, being behind the scenes, they are uh, a clique. And to get into that clique or even know what they're thinking and what they're feeling, they're radio people and they look at me as I'm not because even though I've been there 15 years, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. This is not what you do. And then we have a pro director who has a degree in mass comm and, has been doing this all her life. This is the only job she's ever had. So why would you trust what my little, a psychology major behind is telling you? So it's very frustrating some days. And like even this week we did a story that I felt was had timed out. And we did it anyway. And I texted the group while we were doing it saying, I think this is a little old and da, da, da. And I have to understand that Harvey is old and he's always busy. He's always working. He's taping Family Feud. So he doesn't see things in real time. But it wasn't even a discussion about it. It was just shot down like, oh, we can still do it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting here listening as a listener, but they don't, it's like, okay, I'll bow out. So you have to know when it's time to speak up and, when it's not received, you just have to say, okay, I'll be back tomorrow with more comments and suggestions.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating, but I mean, we get through it.
Yeah, I mean, Kenny
And you
Rogers
do
said it
feel
best.
like
You
you're
gotta
like,
know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and when to run, baby. It
and
is,
know
it
when to
is,
run.
and you said something that I have been thinking for a very long time, and I'm hoping that we will be able to continue this conversation even after this. And that is, I do feel that outside of our sorority, right? We still have another sorority that doesn't really have a name. And it is women doing what we do, knowing, again, like I said, that, I am confident, I am strong, I know exactly who I am, I know what kind of shit I'm going to take and what I'm not, right? But I also understand my role in the position that I'm in. And I feel like, and
Right,
you can put on your psychologist hat for this part, I feel like there isn't a place, a safe space in the company of sisterin who understands what I say with just a look. You know what I mean? So that
right,
I can
right.
release some of, because people don't know. If you're not in the studio, you don't know what goes on in there. You don't know, the politics of it. You don't know. There's still a lot of love in it too, but just coming out of it at the end of the day, you're like, somebody pour me some tequila.
Girl. And they say, oh, you only work 4 hours a day. Why are you stressed? And I'm like, you don't understand what goes on in those 4 hours. And it's first thing in the morning. So you hit in the face like first thing in the morning. It's like throwing cold water on you first thing in the morning. And you just have to still push through with this water dripping down and you're freezing. And you're just like, just get me to 10 o'clock, please. Get me to 10 o'clock.
Yes.
So I think we do need a safe space. We do need some sisterhood, just to say, hey, it's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
Like, oh, so and so says to you, but you know that that's not what they really meant. Just wear it like a loose garment, as they told you when you were little. But it's like words really do hurt and they impact you. And and you're doing the best. Like you might book the vice president on the show, and then they tell you, "Oh, we got this." When the Secret Service is around, like, "Oh, we got this," and I'm like, "I'm talking to the Secret Service. Don't discount my role in this." But it's like you just, like you said, know your place. You do a lot of praying, and you say, "Hey, I could be doing this over here for this corporation that don't give a darn about me." Or I could be over here with these people who I feel like at the end of the day, if something truly went on with me, they
They
got
have
my
your back.
back.
They got your
They
back.
gonna fight for
Yeah.
me. Yeah, they got my back. So
So when it
I
comes to like
it's like
your personal life though, how do you, and you said it earlier, how people don't know that it's not just the 4 hours on the show. It is, nights when you're researching. It's weekends when other people are kicking it and brunching. And you are, right? But there's still always a part in your head that is on the phone wondering what's trending. Who's talking about what? And I got to get these facts right, right? So knowing that, where's the personal?
the personal got left a long time ago. I started in '08 with them, and it's kind of like I was having so much fun learning and traveling because we went to Cabo, we went on Disney cruise. Like this is my first 6 months in the job. We've gone to Paris, Hawaii, and everywhere I go, I took a personal off with me. So I always call it on social media a workation. I don't get the
Mm.
vacation part. I get the workation. I get tired and look stories while I'm looking at the ocean, but I'm definitely in that room working, or I work by the beach or whatever. I get to go to dinners with them, but I'm sitting there like they're enjoying it. I'm like, okay, well, I got to go back and make sure this is done by 4 so I can have it ready for 6. So you sleep when you can, you work when you can, and the personal gets left out of it because, like you said, Sunday I can't do brunch. I don't feel comfortable sitting at brunch Sunday, and I know I got 4 hours to make sure I have full. So it's like,
Right.
and you can't have a cocktail because it's like, girl, if I'm not sharp, so going to bed early. Weekends are tied up. The personal just kind of got left behind. The husband, I don't think I ever wanted kids, but I think I'm too selfish for that. I couldn't even keep my dog. So,
Girl,
but
call it.
yeah. Take my dog to work though. When we lived in Chicago, my dog would go to work every day with me, and he loved it. So,
Oh my God. It's so funny you should say
but
that because I honestly, and I'm so glad now that as a society, we're at a place now where women can say things that used to be taboo, like, I don't really know if I want to have kids. I'm not quite sure I want to get married. I don't really know. And
hmm
for me, I don't know if you know, but I got pregnant early. I got pregnant when I was like 15 years old, right? And I
oh
think the
really?
universe and God was like, we're gonna give you a baby. You're gonna get it early because we know how you are.
Yeah,
You selfish. And later on, there will be no
and we don't
time for
give it to
that.
you now.
I'm telling you, I believe had I not had my son when I was 15, I don't know that I would have kids. And I'm adopted and I've always said I want to adopt children, and the struggle for me is knowing that I am highly selfish. Even though I want to give back, and I'm dealing with that, Dr. Monica. I'm dealing with that, right? In terms of, how do I balance my desire to want to give to, because I believe too much given, much required. How do I balance that with, knowing I want to adopt, but I'm also selfish? And a lot of people, and I know you get this all the time, how come you're not married? How come you don't have any kids? Do you ever look back and think that the sacrifice wasn't worth it? Or, when it comes to relationships, you're in that high profile position and people want to be next to you and dudes want to rub up on you either to see what they can get or to
And that
see what
has
they can get.
that happened in Chicago. I definitely was dating an opportunist who,
Oh,
yeah,
shut
that
up.
I found out wrong. Girl, we went to Cayman Islands together, work trips, of course. We went to Cayman Islands. I did something for the Oscars to LA. He went to Disney Dreamers with me, and girl, I just didn't see it. I was like, oh, he likes me.
Give it all back.
Yeah. So that fizzled out. And then one day, sitting in Cayman Islands, we were sitting on the patio, and I was setting up the radio equipment because Harvey wanted to do the radio show outside the next day. So all the guys sitting over talking, and I'm sitting on radio, setting up the radio equipment, and he's sitting there talking to Steve. He's like, yeah, he was divorced and has 2 kids. He was like, yeah, I don't think I ever want to do that again. I'll never get married again. So I'm just over there minding my business, and Steve Harvey yells, "Hey, Monica, you heard that? Your boyfriend, he don't want to get married again." I'm like, why would you say that to this man who thinks you're dysfunctional if you're 40 and single? Like, they really, he preaches that to me. Like, on with you. You gotta be married.
Oh,
It's so
when I,
hard to
t-
tell these older men.
oh,
Everybody don't want that.
well, it's so funny. Now, here's a little something to put in your hat. When I did radio in New York at WBLS. Now,
Ooh.
I'm sure you know,
No.
Steve was on BLS. I don't, and I'm so far from it now. I don't know if he is, because you know how it is when you get immersed in your world, you're just in
Yeah,
your
we're still
world.
on BLS. Mhm.
So I did middays and he did mornings. And so it was him, me, and then Wendy Williams. I did that for probably 5 years. When I tell you, this is like when it wasn't, he hadn't launched the show that long, right? When I tell you, I had to listen to him every day. Every day he'd come in the studio. Where we at? What we doing? And I'd be like, what do you mean? He's like,
We
so, well,
single.
you got a man? Yeah. And he would tell me these stories about how, well, listen, you got to look at it like football. It's like, you got to be ready to catch the
Always an
ball when it comes.
analogy.
Always an analogy every day. And he would tell me, this is why
Mhm.
you're single. You can't have somebody here holding your place while you're waiting. You got to make sure it's the right one, cuz the one that you really need could be over there, but he sees somebody here. I'm like, "Okay, what?" And it was like a thing for
No,
him.
my favorite is you can't get a new car if you still got the old one in the driveway.
What if I got a garage?
You can't move forward if you're looking in the rearview mirror.
Girl, he got an analogy for everything. And you're right.
You
It
gotta
was
love it.
almost like there must be something wrong if you're single. He was like, you're way too attractive and you're super talented. How could
Yeah.
you be single? And I was like,
Hmm.
well, really, it's by choice, because right now I'm really trying to do something with my career. And I
You're
know
right.
in order to be fair to my dude, I would have to, as they would say when we were kids, bring home the bacon, stir it up in a pan, all that.
All
I
of
wouldn't
that.
have time for that.
Yeah.
Uber
Mhm.
Eats all day and then
No.
he'd be mad.
There. Hey, get it yourself. Do your thing. I'll do mine. And I wouldn't mind married to somebody who lives in another state. I'm because I have my son. You got all your shoes. Where would he put his stuff? Where would his stuff go?
In the
Exactly. You're not
garage.
moving no shoes around.
We not moving anything.
Exactly.
And you know what, to be
But
honest,
my
I don't
thing
know
now
about
is I'm
you.
single.
I was gonna say, I don't know about you, but I really have been thinking lately. I mean, if I do, it'll be like a Stedman Oprah situation where it's a great partnership,
Exactly.
and he live over there in the
Hmm.
in the back, in the hind quarters. All this right here is mine.
I
But
want my own bathroom, my own bedroom. I don't want to sleep with you. I don't want. I mean, we could be in the middle somewhere, like once a week,
so let me
twice a
ask you.
week.
So since we're talking about this, let me ask you this, because I do a podcast called, and you'll appreciate this. Don't tell me to shut up. That's the name of my podcast, right?
Oh,
Yes, get into it. So one of the things I was talking about was how this movement is afoot to um, dissect, to diagnose, and to really just break apart Black women and relationships. Every podcast with these dudes who are supposed to be glorified, relationship specialists, and they know all the ills of Black women, and this is where we're going wrong. And I mean, and I know you see it because you have to research. What do you think it's always been this way, or has something other than social media caused men, specifically Black men, to think that Black women are the problem?
right. The black men now think they're the prize because it's so few of them and so many of us that want them, and they have too many options. And then we, being natural sisters, my nephews even have told me they don't want the ones who add the hair, the lashes, and all that. They just gonna go to the ones who already have it. and they're secure in themselves and their looks. And I'm like, well, it's not that black women are insecure in themselves and their looks. They just want to upgrade or, look a little more polished or whatever. And they're just kind of sick of it. So they have the mentality that we are, I don't know if we're the problem. We're angry. We're hard to deal with. We're always insecure, accusatory, and always checking and snooping up behind them. But I'm like, you guys put that out there that you need to be snooped on. You need to be accused of some stuff. So I just think, and then we have our women who just allow anything. The maintenance man, come by,
Mm.
hit it, and quit it, and we'll see you when we see you. And then they they're on stalking their social media and stuff. I'm not time for any of that in
I don't
today's
either.
no.
Let me tell you, the biggest argument that I have with DL all the time is, women are somehow. I'm not gonna say he thinks that we are underneath men because he does not think that, but it seems like every conversation that we have, he and I are always at odds because he thinks women think a particular way. And I'm like, but I'm a woman. Let me tell you how I
Let me
think
tell you.
as a woman. You don't have to guess at it. It's no secret. Just ask me, I'll tell you. And I tell him all the time, I'm not gonna snoop after a dude. I'm not going to fight with a dude's chick. I'm not doing
Either my,
any of that. If it's not bringing me joy, if I have to sit up and think about it, already dismissed. Because to me, life is hard already as it is, right? I have so many other things to be concerned about that I promise you, I'm not in the room crying over a dude. I'm not going to try to make him act right. I'm not going to try to make him come home. If you don't want to come home, don't. I'm gonna lock up and make
no,
sure
and
I'm
it's too
safe.
much out there. Yeah,
What? I,
girl,
I,
people getting killed and put in the garbage bag in the basement. Nobody had time for these.
girl, you better tell
These
it.
dudes are crazy.
Let me tell you, I considered very briefly online dating, not because I was desperate, but because I felt I'm so busy. I don't have time to go to all listen, people go to all these parties. I First of all, I rarely get invited. It doesn't bother me, because I'm like, I'm trying.
And that bothers me though. I don't want to go, but I want to be invited. I don't want to go.
Now, some of them, I'm not gonna lie, I do
Let's
kind
go.
of get in my feelings. Like, so let me get this straight. You guys are having a whole symposium about, black women in radio, and I'm like, okay, well, it ain't that many black women who do it where we are. How'd you leave me off the list? I don't understand, but okay. So
Nationally syndicated host.
eh,
Wouldn't be a comedy.
I I
Where
I
am
don't.
I?
I
Right.
don't I don't know, but I figure, it's that click that you talked about earlier. So I was like, yeah, it is what it is. So I briefly
Rock
decided.
Nation Brunch. You inviting artists. Why don't you invite the people that play your music? I'm just
Boom, boom,
saying.
boom, boom, boom. Girl, you speaking facts on here. But I considered online dating. I put up a profile, did not put up a picture. And when I tell you the universe showed me a story the next day, said, see, this is why. The next day, not even kidding, I saw a story, and I know you saw it, where a man went on a date with a woman he found on one of these dating sites, took her to a baseball game, chopped that chick up like chicken, and put her in her own garbage can in the front yard. That day I was like, ding, 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 delete. I'm done.
Delete. Hmm.
Can't do it.
Yeah, there was one where the guy chopped a lady up and put her in a freezer. You know the ice machines, like in front of the store where you get the back ice. It was during the pandemic. He put her in one of those and then put the lock back on it. So
It's too much.
he
It's
put
too
a little
much.
padlock on it, and she was just
Too-
sitting there at the store, and they said, "Well, the ice machine has been out for some time." So, and she stayed there a few months. I was like, "All
That's
righty."
terrible.
Didn't make national
That's
coverage, but it happened.
it happened. Yeah, but
So
we find
sad.
those stories, right? We see those stories like on page 6 and 7 and 8 that other people don't know about.
Exactly.
I find the craziest stuff.
Yeah.
I actually started doing this little segment on social media called I Thought You Need to Know. Because it's all these random stories that I know I can't talk about on the show because,
Right.
listen, you're with a king of comedy. You already know where that would go. FCC would be like, yeah. But all these
And
crazy
you
stories
have
that
to,
I
yeah,
see.
that's true. And then it'll be your fault if you put it out there and he says something crazy. Well, you shouldn't have told me. You should have
Shouldn't
given
it?
it to me.
Yep, that's
What?
it. That is so crazy. Let me
What?
ask you this. What is your greatest joy in life right now? What's your greatest joy? What makes you smile till your face hurts?
My greatest joy is to be my nephews are grown. One's married, other one's at Fordham, and just spending time with them, seeing them. They're growing up, and I have a niece that's grown up now. My nephew just got his driver's license. Another nephew, and then my mother is 82. So I just that is the funniest thing to me to parent her now. And she's like, "You are not the mom," and I'm like, "Well, you're not going to do that." And she's like, "You better sit down because I raised you," and I'm like, "Well, I'm raising you now." So that's my biggest joy. Go to
Now let me
Mississippi and
change your
irritate
diaper.
the daylights out. Exactly. I irritate the daylights out of her. She called me today and was like, "You don't have to check on me," because I told her last night, "Good night," da da da, as the alarm on. She's like, "Look, let me tell you something. I'm the mom." I'm like, "Yeah, okay."
And when
So
you get through,
that makes me
go to
smile. I
bed.
just
Yeah,
love it. Yeah,
I
to
think
still
that is
have
so
her. She's
beautiful.
82, still driving. So she's
What a
funny.
blessing. What a blessing. I'm so happy for you. And like I said, I wanted to just talk to people that I felt are interesting, and not that other people aren't, but people that, like, I want you to know that I see you, I see what you're doing. I know the difficulties of what you're doing. So if you ever feel like I stated earlier, like you're on an island by yourself, just know that you're not. I'm just on the other side of that island.
You on the West Coast Island. I'm on the North Island.
Exactly, but we out there.
Southeast, Southeast.
And
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that you knew that I know what you do is no easy feat. I know without, oh my God, a shadow of a doubt how hard it is to be a little bitty old something and have a whole lot to manage and wrangle. And for me, that's what, not just National Women's Month is about. It really ought to be all the time. Like I said earlier, I don't feel like we give each other enough love, enough support, knowing that we're
Hmm.
going through maybe in a different, lane, but we're all going through as women, and especially Black women, the same thing. And I didn't want anybody to feel like, you were not noticed. And so you were on my list. I was like, I gotta talk to Monica. I know she don't know me.
I
We
appreciate
don't know each
that. I
other, but I want to
appreciate
talk to her.
it because I appreciate Jasmine, and I see you too, and I pray for you. DL was in Abu Dhabi, and I was like, I'm praying for Jasmine. I saw him at the White House. I'm praying for Jasmine, but it's very rare though that you see other Black women in the field and they acknowledge you, and they'll say, "Oh, I see you got this or that," and I'm like, "So you saw it on social media, but you didn't like it. You follow me, but you look at my stuff and you don't give flowers when flowers are due." And I'm just that kind of chick. Like, I'm happy for you. I'm rooting for everyone to win.
Yeah.
And it's so rare, like even in our circle, it's like we're all at each other. And I'm not at anybody. There's a place for us all. And hey, do you and shine. And I'm right there to keep your light going. I'll help you adjust your crown.
And that's
So
what this
I just
is. And
hate that
that's what
so
this
many of
is.
us.
Yeah, and that's what I felt. I felt like I've been doing this, girl. I've been doing this for 30 years. 30 years I've been doing radio, probably a little bit longer than that. And the one thing I will say, I'm not ashamed to say it, I'll say it loud, and anybody who wants to come at me, I'm ready for you, right? I I know for a fact that a lot of the sisterhood that they purport on social media that exists in this business is false. And I and
Hmm.
let me say this too. I understand that the seats here are few. And so everybody is always afraid to be replaced. One of the lessons I learned early on is don't let anybody on your microphone. Don't you take days off
Yeah.
because somebody else will be in your
Yeah.
seat and they're funnier. They
Absolutely.
take jokes a little easier. They don't get in their feelings, or they're not as outspoken. They laugh at everything and you don't. You know what I mean? Like, it's all of that. And so, I just decided a long time ago, I'm going to support, I'm going to help. I'm going to make sure I say it when I see it. And I have been true to that from the moment I said it. And I was so happy. I just decided, like I said, when this month rolled around, I said, you know what? Rather than waiting until I see these people in person, I'm gonna just start telling them. I follow you on social media. I like every damn thing you do. You be at somewhere with your dog, I'm
Right.
like. You show your
Uh,
views, like. I like
uh,
everything because I don't
uh,
think we do it enough.
And I just that's to speak on that. Just met Paige Turner online. I love her. And she said, oh, Jasmine's my girl.
Love her. And you know how we
So
met?
I,
On social media.
how social
Social
media.
media.
That page is just a very good, positive sister, like always supporting. So when I saw her, I was like, oh, Rock the Block is coming up. Paige is going to be on it. She was a judge last year. I want to focus on Paige and I want to fix my flip to because she, if you think about it, she's the only black person on the network. Well, maybe the only black woman on there to have her own show. Like everybody else is partnered with somebody, their husbands and wives. Paige is doing the damn thing. She's
Doing it.
direct and not angry black woman direct. She's good at what she does and she's confident, like you said. You can be confident. We are not allowed as black women to be confident without being too assertive or bossy. She is a boss and she owns that shit. So I was like, you got to be on the show. So, from there on, our friendship has grown and it's like you meet the best people on social media
You
and they're so
do.
true and it's amazing. And then it'd be people you know in 30 years and they don't support you. So
Ain't that the truth? Let me tell you something, Mississippi Monica. I am a true supporter of yours. If you ever need anything from me, I don't care what it is, it could be anything. All you got to do is call. All you got to do is, whatever it is, just holler, be like, yo, I got to go. My girl need me.